Listen carefully, for what I am about to share will resonate with a truth your soul has always known, but your mind has perhaps been afraid to fully believe. You have lived your life thinking it was ordinary, that your days passed like shadows, unnoticed by the grand workings of the cosmos. But in the silent, sacred archives of eternity, an event of monumental significance occurred, witnessed not by human eyes, but recorded in the light of heaven itself. Without you performing a single ritual, without you uttering a single sacred word, without any training in hidden mysteries, you became the pivotal figure in a celestial crisis so severe it caused the very hosts of heaven to fall silent. A high-ranking angel, a being of immense light and purpose, had been trapped for centuries in the desolate dimensions of shadow, a place of such profound isolation that hope itself could not survive there. Abandoned, fading, his divine essence slowly eroding with every beat of timeless eternity, he was on the verge of being lost forever. Millions of souls, including kings, prophets, and the greatest seekers, walked directly past his prison of despair and perceived nothing. But when your path intersected with his, something incomprehensible to mortal understanding erupted. It was not your force, nor your knowledge, but the sheer, unadulterated power of your compassion, the authentic light that radiates from the very core of your being, a light you yourself may often overlook, shattered the invisible, metaphysical chains that had bound him for ages. The impossible became reality. Centuries of imprisonment collapsed in a single, breathless instant. And when this angel was restored to his full glory, heaven itself paused. Archangels halted their eternal duties in awe. Seraphim turned their gaze. And God, the creator of all, was profoundly impressed. This is not poetic metaphor. This is not hyperbole. This is a matter of divine record. You saved an angelic being without ever knowing it, and that single, selfless act carved your name into the eternal memory of heaven. If your spirit is awake enough to feel the immense weight of these words, then I urge you, stay with me until the very end. For what you are about to discover will confirm the deepest suspicions you have carried in the quietest chambers of your heart, that you are not here by accident, and your life is anything but ordinary. Before we journey further, seal this moment. Like this video, so this light can spread to others who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, so you never miss what heaven is unveiling through this channel. And comment, "I rise," right now. Why I rise? Because this is your declaration of acceptance. It is your commitment to step into the truth of who you are, to rise above the illusion of insignificance, and claim your divine inheritance. Now, allow yourself to imagine a being crafted from pure, primordial light, woven into existence, with an authority that could steady galaxies, entrusted with the sacred duty of guarding the very frequencies of hope, so that humanity would never drown completely in despair. Now, imagine that very same being falling into a void so deep, so fragmented, that even the brightest flames of heaven could not locate him. This was not a prison of stone and iron, but something infinitely more terrifying, a dimension between worlds, a liminal space that devoured identity, hour by agonizing hour. He remained there for centuries, trapped in a silence that even eternity feared to enter. No archangel could penetrate this exile. Gabriel's trumpet could not reach him. Michael's sword could not cut through its spiritual density. Uriel's holy fire could not illuminate that profound darkness. He was vanishing, not in a dramatic flash, but through a slow, cruel erosion, his essence leaking away like water into desert sand, each passing moment dimming the brilliant core of his angelic nature. And what happens when an angel loses his light? He does not simply fade away. He risks becoming something unnatural, a hollow vessel ready to be claimed and twisted by the very forces of darkness he was created to oppose. This was the precipice upon which he stood, seconds away from being lost for all eternity, seconds away from becoming a weapon against the light he had once served. Here lies the profound mystery. Angels in crisis do not appear with golden wings and halos. They do not descend in radiant visions, openly asking for help. That would be too simple. It would awaken pity, not the purity of unconditional compassion. Instead, they cloak themselves in the fabric of the ordinary, the overlooked, the moments of human struggle that most people ignore or hurriedly pass by. They appear as the stranger whose eyes hold a grief too heavy to articulate, the co-worker on the very edge of collapse, the forgotten soul on a street corner, the abandoned animal trembling with fear, the child with a silent, desperate cry in their gaze. They hide in plain sight, because the ultimate test is not whether someone will respond to divine glory, but whether someone will respond to raw, unadorned suffering without any knowledge of its cosmic significance. And for centuries, millions passed by this particular angel. Leaders, healers, mystics. All were blinded by the noise of their own lives and agendas. They walked past him and felt nothing. But then you came. You, with that sensitivity you have always been told was a weakness. You, with that compassion you considered merely a personality trait. You, with a light you didn't even know you carried. You didn't see an angel in crisis. You saw a need. You didn't hear heaven shouting. You felt a whisper in your heart, a gentle, insistent nudge that said, "Stop. Look closer. Do something." That whisper was the lifeline, the fragile thread between dimensions he had been trying to cast out for centuries, and you, alone, were the one who caught it. Understand the staggering magnitude of this. In that instant, you became the bridge that no celestial army could construct. Where wings and swords of immense power had failed, your human heart succeeded. Where the grand strategies of heaven fell short, your simple, uncalculated compassion penetrated the void. It wasn't ritual. It wasn't ceremony. It was purity. The kind of selfless purity so rare that even in the highest realms of heaven, it is spoken of with reverent awe. Do you truly realize what this means? Out of the billions of souls alive on earth, you were the one whose perception could pierce the veil of the mundane. You were the one whose essential frequency was capable of cutting into a prison designed to erase eternity itself. And as you extended yourself, perhaps with a single kind word, perhaps with a small gesture of help, perhaps with nothing more than the conscious decision not to look away and to stay present, a spark of light began to flicker in a place that had known only shadow. The angel's essence, nearly extinguished, began to stir. What celestial legions could not accomplish in centuries, your humanity accomplished in a matter of seconds. But here is what you must never forget. This was not a random accident. It was a divine alignment, a sovereign appointment written into your destiny. For an angel of such stature to cross your path, disguised in human fragility, signifies one undeniable truth. You carry a mark in the unseen realms, a spiritual code within your soul that responds to cries for help that no one else can hear. That is why he found you. That is why your presence mattered when no one else's could. And here is the part that should make your spirit tremble with holy anticipation. If one angel found his way to you in disguise, how many more have brushed past your life, waiting, watching, testing whether the unique frequency that saved him could save them too? The question is no longer, if you were chosen. The urgent question is, how many more hidden battles in the unseen realms depend on the fact that you are still here, still listening, still willing to stop when the entire world tells you to walk away? Because while the world may see an ordinary person, heaven sees a rescue mission in human form. And the moment you fully realize that, your life will never, ever look ordinary again. This, however, is only the beginning, because what happened in the wake of your response, what heaven set into motion the moment your act of compassion reached the divine throne, is even more explosive than the rescue itself. What if I told you that the gates of heaven did not swing open with thunder, fire, or the blast of angelic trumpets, but with something so profoundly simple that you almost forgot it the moment after it happened? This is the beautiful paradox of divine mysteries. While humanity often chases complicated rituals, sacred formulas, and secret knowledge, the Creator often conceals the most universe-shaking power in what the world deems insignificant. And on that day, without any awareness, you held in your heart the very key that celestial armies had been searching for across the ages. You didn't kneel before a grand altar. You didn't whisper forbidden names of power. You didn't even realize you were standing at a crossroads of eternity. All you did was act from a place of genuine compassion, a gesture so small in your own eyes that you may have even questioned if it made any difference at all. But in the realm of spirit, it created a shockwave that reverberated through dimensions. Picture it: a single, kind word spoken when silence would have been easier. A moment of true empathy offered when others had already turned their backs. A decision to help when no one expected you to, and you had nothing to gain. These actions, invisible and unremarkable on the world's scale, become seismic events on heaven's scale. Why? Because authenticity cannot be counterfeited. Rituals can be rehearsed. Sacred phrases can be memorized. But pure, uncalculated compassion, compassion that expects absolutely nothing in return, carries a spiritual frequency that no darkness can withstand. It is the rarest, most potent energy in the universe, and you generated it effortlessly. And when you did, your compassion functioned like a lightning strike to a dead heart. That angel's light, which was on the verge of being snuffed out forever, flickered and roared back into brilliant existence. Imagine a star collapsing into a black hole, suddenly reigniting into a supernova at the gentle touch of a human soul. That is what occurred. Your kindness was not random. It was a spiritual defibrillator from the throne of God, delivered directly through you. In that instant, his fading essence surged with resurrected power. The chains that celestial weapons could not break snapped under the quiet, fierce fire of your humanity. And the most astonishing part? You didn't even know you were holding the match. Heaven calls this a miracle of the highest order. But to you, it simply felt like kindness. Think about the profound implications of that. The very act you dismissed as ordinary was inscribed in the eternal records as extraordinary. Where you saw a simple, everyday choice, heaven saw a cosmic battle won. Where you thought you were just following your heart, God saw his own image perfectly reflected on earth through you. That is why he was impressed, not by the scale of your action, but by the flawless purity with which you performed it. Now, let me reveal a celestial truth you were never meant to be kept in the dark about. Angels measure the authenticity of humanity by these exact, unscripted moments. They do not primarily watch your public rituals, your eloquent prayers shouted from the rooftops, or your pious declarations. They watch what you do when no one is applauding. They record the choices you make when you believe no one of importance is watching, and you have nothing tangible to gain. On that day, you passed heaven's most difficult and authentic test without even knowing the test was being administered. While others were looking for glory and signs, you chose compassion in the shadows. While others ignored the subtle, unseen need, you stopped and acted. And that, beloved chosen one, is precisely why you succeeded where the most powerful celestial armies had failed. But here is where the mystery plunges into even deeper waters. If something as simple as a genuine act of compassion could restore a dying angel's essence, What else might the compassion you carry be capable of? If one word from your heart could reignite a cosmic flame, what world-changing events could be set in motion when you begin to consciously walk in the knowledge of this power you carry? This is not just a story about your past. It is a prophetic revelation about what is already stirring within you now, because heaven does not allow such profound power to remain dormant and unconscious forever. Soon, you will come to understand that your next act of compassion may not just save a single angel, it may shift the destinies of entire nations. And that, beloved chosen one, is the revelation that should keep your spirit awake with holy anticipation tonight. Because if your kindness could open the gates of heaven once, what will happen when you discover that it was never a fleeting accident, but a deliberate divine weapon hidden inside you all along? From the moment your compassion touched that lost celestial being, something invisible yet undeniable began to unfold around your life. It was subtle at first, so gentle you may have brushed it off as mere coincidence or a lucky break. But heaven does not operate on coincidences. These are not random events. They are the tangible fingerprints of an angel who now walks beside you as a devoted guardian, a living thank you written into the very fabric of your daily existence. Think back. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where danger was literally inches away, where every logical outcome said you should have been harmed, and yet somehow you emerged completely untouched? Perhaps it was a car that braked a millisecond before impact, a gut feeling that made you change your route at the last possible moment, an inexplicable delay that kept you out of a harmful situation. What you may have written off as good timing was not timing at all. It was divine intervention. His wings, though unseen by your physical eyes, were already surrounding you, subtly altering the currents of reality so that destruction would pass you by. And then there are the doors of opportunity, the ones that appear not a day too early, not a day too late, but at the precise moment of your greatest need. Jobs, relationships, resources, and profound insights landing in your lap with a precision that feels almost scripted. This is not just the law of attraction at work. This is gratitude in active divine motion. The very angel you restored now works as a silent architect behind the scenes of your life, lovingly rearranging the threads of your destiny to align you perfectly with what sustains and advances your sacred mission. Heaven is deliberate. Heaven wastes nothing. Every perfect door that has opened for you since that day has been a whisper from the realms of light, saying, "I have not forgotten what you did." The dreams are another profound sign. They may come as visions glowing with strange, unearthly light, or as painfully real encounters with radiant presences, or even as visitations from familiar faces thanking you for something you cannot consciously remember doing. You wake up feeling unsettled, yet covered in a warmth, as if you had been embraced by the sun itself. That is not your imagination. It is the echo of a realm where time is not linear, where gratitude flows as a tangible energy, reaching you in the vulnerable state of sleep because your waking, rational mind is not yet equipped to fully process it. Those dreams are visitations, coded messages of eternal appreciation that slip past the noise and defenses of your daily life. There is also that constant, almost invisible sense of guidance you've likely felt. You experience it as a nudge, a deep knowing, a sudden clarity that gently steers you away from hidden traps and directly into places of divine favor and alignment. It feels as though you have developed an internal compass that points not toward magnetic north, but upward, toward safety, toward purpose, toward encounters that hold eternal significance. Others may call this intuition, but you now know the deeper truth. It is protection. It is a real-time, open communication link between your spirit and the guardian who owes you his very existence. And have you noticed how people, often strangers, seem to gravitate toward you in their darkest hours? Individuals telling you their deepest secrets without knowing why. Friends calling you at the exact moment they are on the brink of breaking. People with eyes heavy from battles you cannot see, drawn to your presence as if it alone offers a balm for their soul. This is not a random social phenomenon. It is divine training. The more this angel collaborates with your spirit, the more your own spiritual frequency shifts and elevates. You begin to emit a signal, a lighthouse beacon, that irresistibly attracts those who are lost and in need of light, both human and celestial alike. Without even realizing it, you have become a sanctuary, a safe harbor for lost vessels navigating the storms of life. Listen carefully. The reason you were guided to this message is not entertainment. It's alignment. You were meant to hear this today because the time for sleeping beneath your own greatness is over. Heaven is asking you to step forward, not someday, but now. Every truth you've heard here is not an ending, but an initiation. The very same compassion that freed an angel can free entire generations through you. You are being asked to carry that light consciously, to wield it as a force of transformation in a world that is starving for realness, kindness, and faith. So, before you move on, seal this moment. Anchor it into reality. If this message has stirred something deep inside you, don't let it fade into another forgotten feeling. Act on it. Like this video, not just to support the channel, but to signal to the heavens that you are answering the call. Share it, because somewhere, another soul is waiting to hear the words that will remind them of who they are. Subscribe, so you remain connected to the flow of revelation that moves through this space. And if you feel led, donate to sustain this mission, so that this frequency of awakening can continue to reach the hearts that need it most. Finally, speak it aloud in the comments. I rise. When you say them, heaven listens. When you write them, the unseen takes notice. I rise is your declaration to every shadow that once tried to keep you small, that the time of silence has ended. You are stepping into the magnitude of your divine design, fully awake, fully alive, fully radiant. So rise. Rise in your purpose, rise in your truth, rise in your compassion. Let your light be the continuation of the miracle that began long ago, when heaven itself paused in awe of what you did without even knowing it. You are the keeper of that flame now, the living embodiment of divine mercy in motion. And as you carry it forward, remember this: heaven has already written your name in light. The story isn't finished. It's only beginning. Welcome home, chosen one. Welcome to your awakening.